If you're like me and don't understand much about art, this documentary is going to be a huge eye-opener. This is because I'm going to share my platform with a gifted Jamaican art teacher who's so passionate about teaching art that even 1 hour conversation with him is so inspiring that it can change your whole perception of art and how important it is. So with this episode, incredible art masterclass from a Jamaican master teacher. What you see can easily be mistaken for a museum, but it is a private home of a retired art teacher in the rural community in Jamaica. What's even more impressive is that all of this is made of paper. A few months ago, one of our YouTube subscribers sent a message to me featuring a few photos from this home and said that I might be interested in interviewing the artist, Mr. Clyde Clarke. It turned out that Mr. Clarke has been teaching art in Jamaica for over 40 years and inspired hundreds of Jamaican children. He was also the teacher of some internationally recognized Jamaican artists. But it was only when I visited his home and met him in person that I realized how lucky I was to have the privilege of doing this interview. Please welcome Master Teacher Clyde Clarke. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you today?
Not bad at all.
Okay. It's a pleasure meeting you again. Beautiful. Thank you.
I retired from teaching with about 2 barrels of old magazines that I collected, because I used to use a lot of magazines, old magazines, in the classroom. And I got the idea of doing papier-mâché without using any paint at all. So I started tearing up the magazines and I started applying them to the grill of the fan. For instance, if you look at this, no paint was applied to it. The coloring and everything with the colored pictures, you tear up the colored pictures from the magazines to get the color. The next stage now was to do the mask without using the old magazines. I experiment a whole lot, and I find that to cover an area of the armature, which would be the grill of the fan, I would just tear up strips of paper. Then on top of that now, I would put the paper pulp, which would give it concrete-like strength. And that led to moving the mask a little further. Because of the wire support system, you have a unique and a very neat, already done armature. Because we are living in a throwaway society where we take all these things and throw them away by the roadside, and they end up in the dump and they end up become environmental hazard when they have use. So all you do with this now is you apply layers of paper all over the grill of the fan. That means you tear a strip of paper, dip it into the paste, put it on. You go for your paper pulp now, where you beat the paper to a pulp. And it's that you're going to use now to form your nose, eye, mouth, and so on, and to put the texture on it. And it is finished. You just paint it straight black, and then you get bronze acrylic paint and just brush it on over it. And it has a kind of metallic look. I did a piece of sculpture with this texture, and I didn't like how it looked. But then again, I find that it is effective if you use it on the head of the sculptural pieces. So you find now that I started applying these texture here. And I think I can show you a sample of the textured piece that look like the piece of sculpture is suffering from some disease. I think I still put it one side, You want to see it? See how it looks? And I didn't like it because it looked like the thing has measles or some disease. But I find it now more applicable if you use it on the hair. So that texture now I say, I'm not going to use that texture for the body anymore.
What is it made of? Like it's paper?
Paper pulp. You can make a soft pulp that can go into detail work if you use the toilet paper. When you want strength, you can beat the Gleaner paper or any newspaper. I shouldn't say Gleaner, any newspaper. That gives it strength. But say you want to do something detailed, like areas around the nose, eye, mouth, or you want textures like this now. You take the toilet paper now and you beat it in a mortar. Add paste to it after extracting the water. And you find out that it is of the plasticity of clay. It's ready for modeling. I was experimenting with textures. So this texture is called combing, where you use a fork. And after you put on the pulp, before the fork is dry, you just take the fork and just pull it. This texture is like you're using the handle of the spoon. And before the thing is dry, you take the handle of the spoon, you just press into it. You're experimenting with different objects, Okay. So in papier-mâché, there is, my way is not the way. My way is only a way. Because if you start doing papier-mâché, in another 12 weeks, you come up with technique that nobody else on earth is using, as long as it is workable. So there's no hard and fast rule that this is the way or that my way is the way. My way is only a way born out of exploration and experimentation.
The skill of teaching is very different from the skill of painting or the skill of any art. Did you miss the actually doing art because teaching took all of your time?
I have such a passion for teaching that there are no regrets. I have a passion for teaching because teaching is not telling. And I found out that the chalk and talk thing is foolishness. Teaching, you are assisting discovery. That is what the teacher should do. You understand me? Assist discovery. And the students were discovering so much. The students will also do things that you can't do, which that don't happen in the chalk and talk. Every summer holiday, July and August, that's when I would write my lesson plans. I don't write my lesson plans at the end of the week. Every July and August. And the lesson plan would be a search for exercises that can introvert the consciousness and bring out what is within the child. So I was always searching for exercises that can lead to discovery of self, as well as discovery of material and discovery of talent. Look at my plan for teaching sculpture. Mm-hmm. See, instead of just scratching a few lines in an exercise book. See?
Oh, did you write this?
Yes. I'm a calligrapher too. So the writing, the whole thing is handwritten. I started with a little pinch pot. You understand me? You make a ball and punch a hole into it and make a little pot.
Okay.
So that's the first exercise that you're going to do. Make a ball, punch a hole in it, and spin your thumb into it, and you find yourself making a pot. You say, but I never knew that I could make pot. See? So but the thing is, this, the exercise must be attainable. You take them from the known to the unknown. You give them something that the exercise must not be beyond them. Give them something that they can do, and then reach to them from there and take them to where you want to take from. Don't just say, make one man the first day, and the child can't have man. You give him a pinch pot, and him doing pinch pot. From there now, you make the cube and the triangle. See? And then catch them up together up here, so. And the bottom part is the pelvic region up here, so it's the torso. The next exercise now is to fuse them together. And then the child is frightened and say, you mean say me make man? These shapes are very important. See them there? You make the child make them. You can take the cone, this cone, and round it up and sink the corner, and you end up with one pair. See? You know? You can take this, and modify it, and you make it like a one pepper. And you take the long cylinder, and you modify your cylinder for me and get a banana. You know? You move from stage to stage. You reach to him where he is and bring him, carry him with you. And then now, one little piece of paper, now you're making farm something like a one lip, you're making farm something like a one eye, from stage to stage. And the child make them. Oh. So you see, he make one ball, and then he curve it round with that, and then he smooth it down and punch one hole, and him frightened to find out so he can make eye. Every sculpture is a modification, a variation of simple geometric forms.
What material do you use when doing this?
To teach this, is the Play-Doh is very good because you don't have to clean up the place. And then the hands don't nasty up the first day. You don't really nasty up the hands yet. So the Play-Doh, clean and nice, you know.
Do you need to study anatomy to be able
yes, to? Yes, it's good, you know. But you don't jump on them the first day with it like some people. You understand? Mm-hmm. Look at the cube. Yeah? And then look at how you smooth them down till you end up with this.
Okay, so you just put the cubes together.
Yes.
And then you smooth them.
Smooth them down. And then the eye, nose, and mouth where they learn to make from exercise 2. The second day, you try apply it, make me see now. Mm-hmm. See it? This would be like the armature, you know. It would be support system. I can't do this. So I get a man who does metal work to weld this onto this and to screw it down on this piece of board here for me. And the piece of board, it also helps the piece of sculpture to stand, and the steel goes right up into the foot. And if you want, you can have the steel going right up to the shoulder here.
So all of this is made of paper?
Yes.
But it feels hard.
What gives it the concrete-like sturdy effect is the pulp. When you just tear up strips of paper and put on, the piece of work is not sturdy. But when you beat the paper, the paper to a pulp, extract the water, throw away the water, then put in paste, and then you knead as if you're making a dough, you're going to make dumpling. When it feels like it is ready to make a dumpling and has that plasticity of clay, it is ready to model with.
And then how do you make these? Do you also use some support, or is it like all on top of the canvas?
There is no support. It was built on a piece of plyboard.
Oh, that one.
Mm-hmm. In sculpture, they call that relief. And when you can walk around a piece of sculpture like this, they call it sculpture in the round. You know, and this now would be sculpture in, this is superimposed relief. And that would be just an ordinary flat relief sculpture. Superimposed because if you look now, the hands are not just brought up out of the base like that. The hands are really done in the round. The support is this, the basic structure. You do the basic structure before you put on the hand.
I would like to ask you one of the most difficult questions of all time. What is art?
What is art? Art is really creating what you visualize. I think it's really creating what you visualize. You're using colors and form to express ideas and to articulate for the beholder. So when you can use colors and form as a language to articulate for the beholder, I think that's fine arts.
In many schools, it is perceived that maths and physics, all of these subjects, are more important than art subjects. And it's often children go to school and then when they get grades, parents say, you need to excel at maths and things like that. And art, and look, I excel at art. No, that's not important. Have you noticed that?
Yes, and they are so wrong because the maths and the other subjects that they are imposing on the children, which is good, they should get that too, it activates only the left side of the brain. Art, music, activates, it's coming from a different section of the brain. It's coming from over the side that imagination and intuition. It's coming from the esoteric side because the brain has two independent minds. Left side will deal with reason and logics, and imagination and creativity comes from the right side. So you're stifling the right side and making the person only a useful slave if you enhance only over the left. What society cannot place too much of the emphasis on the right side because the individual is not controllable anymore. He's going to mostly unfold himself once he's over the right side.
How important it is for children to study art at school?
Because it activates the side of the brain that the other subjects does not deal with. It activates the right side of the brain. That's where the creative kingdom is. And that's the side of the brain that makes connection with the cosmic mind. When I decided to come to Western Jamaica and teach, you know the first thing I'm going to start do? Build one library.
So the books you started collecting from different places?
Yes, I started. And just start, if you ever see when we reach.
So where are all these books now? You keep them? You have them?
All right, come here, walk with me.
Oh, wow.
Here they are. Oh, see them there?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow. You should open your own art school. I mean, no, seriously, this is incredible. Look at that. So that's where you do the paint?
I get help from books too, If I see how your foot stay and it exposes the muscle better than I've seen before, I cut out a picture and put it. So if I do a piece of sculpture now, when we reach here, so the next piece of sculpture, you're going to see all of these muscles, See, if I say, I learn from pictures, they're telling you that your schools are telling you that. Don't look on any picture. I look at pictures. See, and if I never look at pictures, I would, say I never know, say there are two balls there inside of the eye. I look at pictures. Come look at these pictures.
Oh, you have these.
You notice that there's a little ball here, so inside of a bigger one. Mm-hmm. You see it? See it? I learn from pictures. I look at them. I look at everything.
Oh, well, you have so many books about art. This is mostly about art?
Yes. Oh, the whole over here is mostly art. You might have a little philosophy and politics. Some philosophy and politics is here, so. And over that section, so might have some. You would have interest in that section, so over there, so. Because over there, so now I have a boy from Lebanon who can write named Khalil Gibran. I had about 14 Khalil Gibran over there at one time. Khalil Gibran drawings are in his book.
Nymphs of the Valley. Khalil Gibran.
Man from Lebanon. He's a philosopher, you know, and a mystic. I started buying a book, at least one book every month. So when I came to Western Jamaica to teach now, and I don't bother go to the library in St. James, because they just have things about the artists. You understand? And I want them, in artistry, you know, I don't want to know how much woman say, what is artist name again?
Rembrandt.
I don't want you to know how much woman you sleep with. See?
Right.
And that him did go and whore house one night and one whore did lick him in the head. I don't want you to know that. I want you to know how him get the light and dark fi blend. So the work me why you deal with. And when I deal with Van Gogh, me no even interested if you tell me how much time he go to madhouse. Because I said Van Gogh go to madhouse many times. What I want to know about Van Gogh now, I want you to look at the brush strokes that he's using. And how him blend down the colors and get those same brush strokes to create both texture and light and dark and the movement. And that may I teach about Van Gogh. You understand? That is really woman who wants to sleep with how much picking have. You understand? This is the kiss. And from there will lead to procreation. That's why the whole world is coming out of this egg, which may have its beginning there. This has to do with the mind, although I had to use the figure to illustrate it. The individual is leaping out of the box. In our thoughts and in our creativity, sometimes we must come out of the box and don't deal with the dogmas that we're born and hear. You have to leap out of the box sometimes. This is dealing with the awakening. That's why you find there was a time when I did quite a number in the series. The individual is waking up, and you see the cock in the morning on the top of the clock. This is another one of the awakening. The person will yawn and get up. You know, it's an awakening. This one is another in the series, the awakening. But this is why you see the pencil is used as the hand of the clock, because this one has a kind of educational awareness to it, where the person is wake up to that opened window to education and awareness.
A step-by-step approach to painting. How to paint a tree.
So this is why you might do just for us there, you know. Darken here, so make the brush dip in on the tip of the paint and just touch it on to create broken texture. And you see when you put the broken texture upon this, you end up with this. And the child say, you mean say me can't paint a tree? Me never know me can't paint a tree. By just putting on broken texture onto the thing, the child is surprised enough, you know, saying he can't paint a tree. Then when he can't paint a tree, you know, you say, all right, paint sky and put some white onto it and blend it in. And when you can't blend it in, you say, all right, put one tree in it now because you can't paint a tree. You understand? See? And then he put one tree in it. You don't just walk the child outside our landscape and say, oh, see the coconut trees there and the palm trees there. Come on, and put them before the landscape. Paint the landscape. The same thing I'm telling you about the stimulation and the exercises and things. All you want to do, you know, is paint one blue sky, paint one mountain a little bit stronger, come a little stronger, come a little stronger. You get perspective, because the near thing is bright and the far things is pale. Then now you tell him give him the big word, perspective.
All right, so you're just making the perspective by making darker.
Yes. Sometimes you tell him, say, well, you can put on a road tonight, you know, and make the road get narrower and narrower and paler, you know. You understand? You know, you take him from, until, till him gone in a landscape painting now. You understand?
So you had to teach like different styles and sculpture and portrait and landscape, like to give the whole program.
Some of my paintings I cannot explain, especially when the paintings are done from doodles. All of the beholder watching this program, you doodle too. You go to a meeting and you're bored and turn off, and your hand with the pen on it draw some little image on the program. And I'm wondering if that's not real art, because it comes from the subconsciousness. So I doodle programs when I go to staff meetings and other meetings and I'm turned off. And when I like the image that is on the program, I would come home and put it on canvas. So I end up with this doodle. But one thing now, there are times when I directly try to come up with images that can pass on a message. And I search for symbols. And sometimes I draw symbols from nature to pass on a message to make it concrete. So the tree represents humanity. That's why the leaves of the tree is shaped like the face of a man. And yet you have a man cutting him down. I'm wondering if it's not self-destruction to be cutting down the trees. The trees again. Motivated by wealth. That's why the bulldozer that you see there looks like money. Mashing down the environment to make this money. So that was a direct effort to use money and the bulldozer as a symbol. I was born in Montego Bay and grew up in Chester Castle. I left Chester Castle old age and I went to Mache Teachers College in Kingston. When I went to Mache Teachers College in Kingston, I was doing well in art, so I decided that I'm going to specialize and do art education. So I was trained as an art educator at Mache College from 1973 to 1976. At Mache College, I was not known for art as such at Mache College, you know, because I was an athlete, and so I was popular as an athlete. It was when we were having the graduation, prize-giving graduation, a lot of people surprised, you know, because you mean the runner took the prizes? I got most of the prizes for art at Mache. And then I practice now at Denham Town Secondary in Kingston. It was a junior secondary school then. Then I saw a job advertised at Cornwall College. So I came home to Chester Castle, borrowed some money from Housing Trust, built a house. I did the last 25 years of teaching at Cornwall College. And at Cornwall, we won quite a number of national competitions. Even the Scientific Research Council art competition, we won that for maybe about 12 years straight. And the Earth Day competition, which had mostly themes of environmental issues. Maybe I'm influenced by the Institute of Jamaica and the Scientific Research Council into tackling environmental issues, because those are the topics that they used to send out.
With Cornwall College, though, it's just general school, it's high school?
It's a general high school. I was just teaching the subject art, but Cornwall College has all the subjects.
But why there are so many creative people in art were there specifically, and why were you winning the competitions all the time? It's not even specialized school.
I think there were hunger. I think there was a hunger for it at this part of the island. And I think there was a need for teaching paintings.
So you did mostly sculpture in Kingston?
Yes, and mostly paintings in Montego Bay. In Kingston, you're free. At Cornwall College, you're not free. You have to teach them what is on the timetable for the CXC subject. You're teaching children to pass an exam. At Denham Town, you teach a student according to his aptitude and what he's gifted for. If he is gifted for stone carving, you take that student one side and just teach him stone carving. If that one loves wood carving, you make him just do wood carving. At Cornwall College, you have to do the things that CXC require. So at Cornwall College now you teach mostly graphics and paintings, and you understand me? Mm-hmm. The first set of master teachers in Jamaica.
Are you here?
Mm-hmm. When I went to Cornwall College, this is my first winner, was Christopher Cherian. He's now a doctor at the Cornwall Regional Hospital. This boy won a national competition, and this poster was being used by almost every clinic in Jamaica, and it's about drug abuse.
Who painted it? Who made it?
The poster, this boy here, Brendan Evans. He was featured a lot in newspapers.
You have so many kids here. Who are these kids?
Kids who win national poster competitions.
All the kids you taught?
This boy here won. He was a big thing, Christopher Mackenzie, with this poster here that he's well known for. In his grade 11 years at Cornwall College, for the year they had around 5 national competitions, and he won all national competition. Christopher Mackenzie.
Is that you?
Mm-hmm.
It's how long ago that was?
Long ago, man. A boy won the national water commission. He used to have a poster competition annually, an environmental issue too. Mm.
2 of your students that I found, that's how I found out about you, because I was, doing the research. And one of them is Mark Hill, who is from Montego Bay, but he's now in the United States. And his works are gaining a lot of popularity. And I even found one of the interviews with him on a YouTube channel.
And this is your first exhibition here in New York?
First solo exhibition.
Ah, okay.
It's my second time using one art space. I'm originally from Jamaica, born and raised. I started painting in grade 5. Then I went to a higher degree of learning when I went to a prestigious high school by the name of Cornwall College.
Okay.
And I fell in love with art more when I reached grade 8.
Oh, okay.
Because of the teacher. The teacher was very articulate in his way of expressing and teaching.
And then there is another student, I believe his name is Hilroy Bulgin or Bulgin, I don't know how to...
It's Bulgin.
Bulgin, Hilroy Bulgin. And his art, actually the same as Mark Hill, the different style. Their styles are very distinctive, really impressive, and now he's building the idea around it to help other children and help others to get into this. But you were their teacher. They studied both in Cornwall College, and you managed to inspire them to the point that they made it their profession and they became really good at it. So how did you identify that talent? What exactly you did to inspire children to take that route? Because art is not a popular choice of profession to make a living. So how did you do this?
It is the exercises that you are able to come up with that can let them discover themselves. Because they are going to discover themselves on the level of consciousness. And they are going to, I'm going to tell you something too. I come up with some exercises for manual dexterity and eye-hand coordination, which turn on a lot of students. Students who thought that they can't do anything. I've been able to search and come up with eye-hand coordination exercises, along with exercises that lead them to the dawning of them innate consciousness, and put both together.
Do you think it takes talent, or anybody can learn painting and drawing and sculpture? Or does it have, like, do people need to have a certain talent?
It is good when you have certain talent.
Yes, but
Yes,
anyone can learn.
Because I can give any one of you exercises that can improve your sprinting. But if you have that inborn talent as a runner, you're going to go further than the others. But I can teach anybody to sprint, because I used to do some coaching too. But there are students with that innate, quick teach muscle fiber that is going to go faster and further than the others.
So with art?
The same thing.
The same thing. So
yes.
Anyone can learn
yes.
to paint and so.
Yes. But there is no equality among men, like we would love to say it's so everybody equal, you know. But it's not really so, you know. And that we are all created equal. It's not really so, you see. If it was so, if I was going to make shoes, I would have just make size 6, and that fit everybody. I'm going to tell you something, and you're going to think that I'm crazy. You know where Coral Garden Police Station is? I walk the beach from Coral Garden Police Station straight to Lucy by doing about 2 miles each day. Then, whatever I find on the beach, any driftwood I find on the beach, suppose I'm going to do 2 miles today, and I pick up some driftwood, I put them on the roadside of the bank. Then guess what now? I'm going to have to go and get the car. And when I get the car now, I'm driving and I'm picking up. That driftwood now is like nature do the work already. So because nature do the work already, I build according to the shape that nature gives me. All I do is form a face on it. And when I form a face on it, I color the papier-mâché part the same color as the wood. But the whole thing is not me. It looks like it's made out of one piece of material. You see these?
Oh.
I'd card to it. I had a old map, and I said, oh, this map has done its days. So I just take the map, dip it into the ponal, and add it to it. This is, you can see the old map again here, so.
Old mop, like for cleaning, mop.
And you think that I'm skillful to get the hair like that? It's a map I put there.
I bet you could get the hair like that anyway if you wanted. What about that hair? This hair here.
This hair was done not from pulp, but by dipping the newspaper into the paste and just roll it with my hand like that. And roll it, and then I just dip it into the paste and just keep on putting them on. So as I was saying in the beginning, there is no one way. While I was walking the beach and picking up the driftwood, I saw the bamboo root. And when I look at the end of the root, it looks like something that could be used to represent the hair. So all I had to do was to pick it up and put a face that merged with where the hair part would begin, and there nature would have done most of the work already.
So these are the roots?
Yes, it's just the root of the bamboo.
Okay.
See the bamboo?
Uh-huh.
The bamboo. Look here.
Oh, this is amazing.
So you had the 2 shoots of bamboo coming out from the root. So I find it more convenient to put 2 heads instead of 1. And so you have dreadlocks that I didn't create. Nature created.
aesthetics, I think is how you pronounce it in English. Aesthetics.
Aesthetics.
Right. It's a branch of It's a branch of philosophy, right? That studies is also called philosophy of art. It studies the beauty of nature, and the problem here is defining what is good art. So how would you define good art compared to bad art? Is there even such a thing?
I would say that you have done well if you communicate with the beholder. I am not going to say the art is bad if you don't communicate with the beholder, because sometimes the beholder level of consciousness might determine what you grasp. So I can't give you a clear definition of what is good art and what is bad art.
Like, how do you even define, so this is a good painting, this is talented, and this is not a good painting, this is not talented. Is there even such a method to make the distinction between the two?
Sometimes the beholder will criticize the work and say that the work is not good if the drawing does not represent what you intend to represent. Because most people who don't study art, they will go for things that are more photographic. They say, this thing, it looks real, and they will go for that. And the pieces that are not photographic, they will say, that's foolishness. It doesn't look real. So the beholder out there go for what looks real.
It is precisely my next question about abstract art. And it's often devalued because people look at it and say, well, especially abstract expressionism, they look at it and say, well, my child can do better. And I heard even educated people saying things like that. So what do you think? Is abstract art as important? And it is a very important part of art. What is your thought about it?
It is very important because I told you of some pieces of works that I did because I was bored in a meeting. So those pieces of works now, they more come in like therapy for the soul. So some of the abstract pieces that you're looking on is very therapeutic to the beholder, not only to the beholder, but to the person who's creating it. The problem is that sometimes when you go into these therapeutic, non-representational images, you yourself may have problem explaining it to the beholder.
So how to learn to be able to understand different forms of art? Is there a special technique people can use who are far from art to actually learn and become conscious of it and be able to understand it better?
The only way to develop an awareness is through art history. I think if you introduce more art history into the schools, they will be able to appreciate what those artists trying to articulate, or whether it's not something that they can articulate, whether it's coming from the subconscious or whatever. But art history will guide people in appreciating abstract art.
This one has some Egyptian colors in there.
Yeah.
Do you know that the pharaohs had this strength?
Yes.
So is that where the inspiration comes from?
Yes, because Egypt has a lot to do with the education of the world. One of the first metaphysicians on earth is a pharaoh. It was Pharaoh Akhenaten too that institutionalized the one God concept. Before Pharaoh Akhenaten in Egypt, you God of this and God of that, and he came up with one God concept. He was the first known, monotheist.
But in general, you have the sculptures. You draw some inspiration from African art as well, from African art and culture?
Maybe subconsciously. Maybe subconsciously. I don't go out intending to do it. If it comes out that way, it is esoteric if it comes out that way. I didn't intend to, but some of the work comes out like, maybe because I am Afrocentric.
Yeah, right, so that helps. You're Rastafari.
Yes, I am.
Have you always been Rastafari, or is it like when you stopped working? Like, I just want to know how you managed to fit in Cornwall College being a Rastafari. Because back in the day, it wasn't as easy as, at least from what I read.
No, in the 60s and so on, you couldn't, a child couldn't go to school if the child is a Rastafarian. You know? And I was very interested in Black Power. My older brother, Clyde Clarke, had a lot of literature in the house, just thrown down in the house. I don't know if he's reading them. Literature that used to come out in the 60s from all people like Angela Davis, Stokely Carmichael, Dr. Walter Rodney. My older brother had those literature in the house thrown down, and he had left home and gone out there, and they were just into the house. And I started reading them. And Rasta now was a transition from Black Power to Rasta, because the Rastafarian movement was a black liberation with a spiritual nucleus to it. And Black Power was lacking that. A black liberation movement, I was attracted to it. And then I made the transition now from Black Power to Rasta.
I know that you have really long locks. Those locks look like from years now. So when you were teaching in Cornwall College, you had locks.
Yes.
And you were okay? No, but nobody said anything? You were allowed to teach as a Rastafari? You taught art and nobody said anything? Because there is a certain image schools, at least my kids went to school in Jamaica, and I saw, like, you know, a certain way teachers have to look with suits and... What about Cornwall College?
There was no prejudice. I didn't experience any prejudice. Everybody was just hungry for what I was delivering. But in 1999, now they brought in a category of teaching, what you call a master teacher. And I used to run workshops for the Ministry of Education to upgrade the present teachers and techniques and so on. I used to do that. So a teacher who attended my workshop suggested that I apply for this master teacher post that came into being in 1999, and I applied. Well, there were people who were on the, people put themselves on the panel that is supposed to interview me, because when you're going for the master teacher post, you have a panel where you're going to sit before about 8, 9, 10 people who are throwing questions at you. Somebody who was not on the panel came there, sat down. She's an education officer. She was at the regional office in Montego Bay. She was not on the panel. She came there, sat down, throwed some questions to see if she could hurt my culture and religion, and just walk off and go on. And say, I want you to tell the panel, you know, and just walk off and go. So you have people now who they hear say, well, Rasta apply for master teacher. I go and come there and kick him. You understand? Verbally. Well, somebody did that while I applied for the post.
Did you get through? Did you get the post?
Of course, could be the first too. Could be the first master teacher too.
Look how this tree is bearing.
Oh,
Is it that in Jamaica they call it star fruit or jimbilly? And that's another tree too. That tree now you see full of juice, but not so sweet. This one don't have much juice in it, but this one's sweet. And you can, when you're leaving, you can get some.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes,
And some people use it to make a drink, you know. Use it
So
to
with
make
a
a drink.
stuffer.
So, and when you're gonna pick, just pick the ones that are yellow.
Like you, ital food, do you eat, or do you eat some meat too? Because
No,
I know some Rastafari.
No, I don't eat meat. I don't eat meat.
Okay.
But if I'm traveling on the road, I will eat food that is cooked with salt.
Okay.
You know,
But yourself?
if you're traveling on the road, you know, you go and buy some cabbage or some callaloo that they cook. They are going to put salt in it. But at home, no, and I'm not going to eat meat.
What is the situation like with Jamaican art and Jamaican artists? Do you see that Jamaican art is improving, like it's growing and there is a development in this, or the process is the opposite? How would you describe this situation right now in Jamaica?
Jamaican art is growing because when I used to go to school, art was not taught. If it was being taught, it would be at some of the high schools would teach art. But now you have prep school having art teachers, you have primary school and junior secondary school. You have schools, they have an art program and they have their art teacher. And the Jamaica School of Art is the only art institution in Jamaica. You can go there and be certified. But they have it was built on Eurocentric foundation by former Prime Minister's wife, Edna Manley. And the school is named after her too. Regardless of its Eurocentric foundation, it has done a lot for the teaching of art, because I think that's where art was first taught in Jamaica. So many of the students coming out of those institutions, they are going to have a particular influence in that their teachers come from America or England and that kind of thing. It doesn't mean that something is wrong with that kind of education, you know. But it would be good if they had other exposures too.
I think people are missing out because there is no representation of other cultures as strong as the European culture.
Yes, it's very strong. It's very strong here, and it influences the whole education system. You know, the whole education system. You're educating somebody to fit into a slot, and you are not bringing out what is in the person. You're not leading the person to the dawning of their own consciousness. You're training them to fit into a slot for the benefit of the economy.
That's true. Yes, I have a video on my channel about education system and the problems, the current problems with it. Yes, absolutely. And I even mentioned in that video that the only time when people get lucky is if they meet a teacher who would kind of shape their perspective and that.
And send them within.
Right. A lot of Jamaicans, now I see wood carvings, I see paintings, I see, this is now quite popular. You can see in craft markets and everywhere. Jamaicans are doing these things, but a lot of them find it difficult to make a living with it, or like push it further than just, you know, make a few works and then what? How can they make a living with it? Is there a way?
It's difficult. In art, in Jamaica, art is a luxury item. The rich people might buy a piece of work. You will only get a piece of work. You mostly get a piece of work off your hand when you run into foreigners. So that's why most of the people market their art through the tourist craft market and all that kind of thing. And the tourist craft market, sometimes it stifles the creativity of the artist a little. They try to do what is selling. So if I go out there with my things and I put them out, and the man beside me, he sold a crocodile. Tomorrow I come out with a crocodile. And the next day when I look, I see a man come out there with an elephant or a giraffe, even though elephant and giraffe in Jamaica. And I see a man come out there with an elephant and it is sold. I fling my crocodile to hell, and tomorrow I stand up before some elephant and giraffe. So at all times everybody have the same thing.
I was wondering why this is the case.
Yeah, and sometimes when they try to criticize me, I just throw it back at them. They say, all you can make is woman. I just say, all you can make is animal. And the carving, especially in Western Europe, the carving is so good, but they all have the same thing. They teach one another, you know. You don't have any arts, you don't have any school in Montego Bay teaching anybody to sculpt, you know. They teach them one another under the tree, and they become so, I see some very good, especially wood carving in this area. They are good. It's like tourist art.
Tourist art. Well, this is a new term.
And the work is good. The
Yeah, it's good quality.
Good.
Yeah, it's good quality.
Good.
Yeah. It's often difficult to make a living with art is also because it's difficult to put a price tag on art. Like, how can you put a price on a painting?
I can't.
The material.
I can't.
Right.
The first time I went out there, you know, it was maybe about 2017 or 2018. Yeah, the Montego Art Festival. And when I put out my work, I called 2 artists and said, put some price on those work. All those prices that you see on my work, it's not me put them. I've never priced a piece of work.
So, like, I understand that you have a lot of works and your home looks like an art museum. So, but you do have some works that, as I understand, you can sell. But because you don't try to put it anywhere, you don't try to advertise it, why don't you do it? Like, why?
I don't know. I had more works than this, you know. Almost twice this amount of work, you know. And then somebody told me, it was Fernando who told me about the Montego Bay Art Festival. And I went out there and the response was good, especially from the foreigners. And those people who came to that festival, they were very instrumental in spreading my name abroad.
People now want to get in touch with you from other countries and they want to have your works in the exhibition. So, but you're not interested, or you just don't have the time for it, or?
The commercial part of the work. I wish I had somebody to do that for me. I am possessed into just doing these things as if I am possessed. And I am not interested in the market part. But if somebody would do this for me, I would appreciate it, you know. But
if there is some producer,
yes,
like that you would have for an artist, like for music, there are producers.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I would imagine you need someone like that, a producer who can help with your art.
If I wake up 2 o'clock in the morning and I feel like doing something else, I don't want anything else to come in the way.
Tips to people who are kind of new to art, let's put it that way. A lot of people live their life focused on everyday tasks. You know, they're busy, they're earning money, going, like taking kids to school, cooking, things like that. They don't have the time to stop for a second to appreciate the beauty of something, or go to gallery and see paintings, and they just don't have the time for it. But maybe after watching this video, they would go, there is something I'm missing in my life. So is there any kind of advice you can give to people who want to learn more about art? Where should they even start?
They could start embracing it as a way of life. The way they lay out their garden, the way they hang their drapes, the way they put food in the plate. They could start there. And then after embracing art as a way of life, then you'll find that they will gradually start appreciating painting and sculpture if they see art as a way of life. Because somebody can share some stew, peas and rice in a plate, and the way they organize it and put it in the plate, water start gathering in your jawbone. So you start relating art to your everyday life. All the way how you lay out your garden. What color flowers you put against what color flowers, how you lay out the whole thing and make it a total way of life. Then you find yourself, they will gradually immerse into it and the whole place will be wonderful and beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for finding the time for this. And I really appreciate. We go like, yes, thank you, respect. I always find it extremely unfair that stories about extraordinary people who do something good and meaningful do not usually make the headlines in the media. But with the help of independent journalism, we can change this. Maybe just a little bit, but I'm supported by you, the audience. So if you have found this video interesting, please don't forget to share it with others. Thank you so much, and I'd like to give special thanks to all our patrons for supporting our work, especially top-tier patrons. If you wish to join the patrons, you can do so from only $5 per month. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Irina, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.